Welcome to
GluTeen.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome.
The podcast where we talk about the realities and stories of the youth of today.
Yes.
In today's segment, we Vege-Meet. Hola! Soy Zai Zai. I'm Kawai Zai. This is Kawai Dale. This is Kawai
Hola man.
Queenie.
Why hola?
Hola. Hello. In Spanish.
Hello.
Yeah.
Did you
We're
know?
trying to be multilingual
Yes.
here.
Did you know
Okay.
the Philippines was colonized by the Spaniards?
For how many years?
How many years?
I don't know. I
Zai?
forgot.
Three. Sige.
This is a test of knowledge
I did
and
not
history.
pay attention.
But thank you, Zai, for, owning up the responsibility of
It's so heavy.
introducing us.
Yes. Thank you,
Yeah.
Zai. Kawai Zai.
And it's another episode of GluTeen wherein we would be meeting somebody.
Vege-Meet.
Somebody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before
Somebody
we meet,
to, ask about our topic and how is it relatable to him or her and, try to stir up conversations as well for our Kavayans to listen to and learn from.
last episode we talked about
We talked about the topic.
performance trap.
Yes.
Yes.
Because sayang, because
Sapat.
sapat ka.
ka.
You are not a failure.
Yes, and we learned that it's not all about what or how much we perform, but
What
it
we
is somebody out there doing everything for us, who is God, performing, has done everything for us. So that makes us enough.
Yeah.
And it's how God sees us and how God wants us to be. And if we try to incorporate that in our lives, then that is enough. Uh-huh.
Yes, and for this episode of Vege-Meet, we will
Be meeting.
be
We will be
meeting
meeting someone
someone vegetarian.
because he is a full-fledged Englishman.
Yes, just
Yeah.
like Zyril here.
Yeah, were you born here?
Yeah, he was.
Made here.
Or-
Made in MVC. A product.
Just
of
like the
Mountain
Tokwa,
View.
GluTeen, and Vege-Meet, also
Yeah.
made in MVC.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah.
I think it's also made of GluTeen and Tokwa, no?
He's a child.
So just like Zai Zai.
Yeah.
Family friend.
So we'll see later the similarities, no? Of born and raised with GluTeen.
Yeah, but before that,
Before that, we're going to, of course, entertain some thoughts,
Questions.
even questions
Answers.
from our Kavayans out there who, sent us out their
Sige.
insights about certain matters that we are to discuss here in our episode. Now, our crew, our podcast team gave our Kavayans a certain statement and they are to reflect on that statement. So what they gave was,
open your phones.
okay. This is what the statement was. I must meet certain standards in order to feel good about myself, and it results in a fear of failure. So they have to reflect on that statement. So according to one respondent, Charmer Research, according to one who gave his thoughts
Insight.
on this statement,
Insider.
Insider. This statement calls me out. This is how I put myself together. Some of my classmates probably have noticed this in me. It's kind of funny to think that I'm aware that having these standards is putting pressure on myself and that I can remove it if I want to. But it seemed like the only solution I have for now to continue on giving my best. So he's kind of trapped on this.
Yeah, but he's
You know,
also
and-
aware that he's trapped.
Yes. At least for now, it's what he sees as a solution to, to continue giving his best. I must meet certain standards to feel good about myself. And if I don't meet these standards, it results in a failure or fearing to fail.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about these thoughts, Kabardale?
Standards. Yeah, I'm thinking about the standards that are being set by the person. In education, it must be smart. right?
SMART.
Help me with the acronym.
No, it's not it's in
Smart.
research.
So also in research.
Ah, di ba lahi
S
In
is
goal setting as well, right?
yes.
did it
has to
Oh.
be
specific mo
smart.
ba na? S
Specific, measurable,
attractive,
attainable,
attainable,
attainable. R.
reliable, realistic,
Uh-huh.
Realistic.
time bound. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Realistic, I think, or
And-
reliable. I don't know. Basta time bound.
And then T,
oo.
Yeah.
time bound.
So the standards must be realistic or let's say attainable. Because if you set a very high standard for yourself, it will only make you disappointed. And then you're afraid of failure, but yeah, and then
Then,
you cannot reach your standards. No?
okay.
More often than not, we impose standards to ourselves that seem impossible to achieve.
But yeah, but I think we need to understand first, where do these standards come from, or why do we set this certain standard for ourselves? Right?
We will discuss that with our guest
Is
later.
it outside, internal ba or external?
Yeah.
No, nga mga
So,
source.
But I can definitely relate to that person.
how do we answer this person now?
I feel you.
I feel you too.
Yeah, I feel you.
In my reading yesterday about attachment theory ba. Kanang it's comforting also and therapeutic to know that somebody can relate with what you're going through. And actually, we want to be with a person who has successfully overcome the challenge rather than those who failed. Okay, it gives you hope ba? The same feeling that he can relate with you with what you're going through.
Yeah.
So that's very comforting for our listener or viewer to know that Kabaisay here can relate.
Yeah.
I feel you.
I think what matters most is when we constantly remind ourselves that it's not what we do that makes us worthy. It makes us successful, makes us important and significant. So we are way more than our performance. And although it's a significant part of our lives, but we must not just, think of and reduce ourselves to that mere aspect alone.
Yes, but that's very true. In our system nowadays,
Nowadays. Nowadays.
what they measure is the output or your
Output-based.
performance. Diba?
Yeah, that's why in our class we have the
Performance
the rating, diba, written works,
Performance task.
oral, like that. The performance task has the highest
Percentage.
percentage. So we do our best in our
We
performance
are
task.
trapped in that mentality, that it's all about
because
performance.
It's like the standard.
in the right place, that's also right,
Right.
actually,
But in the wrong place,
in
it's
some
wrong.
sense, no?
Of course.
Yeah. So I don't know if we have
One way or
Answer the
another, we're
question.
kind of trapped in that kind of standards. But we go back to God's standards for us.
Yeah,
amen.
certainly.
And the good news there is it's not us performing the standard, but it is still God doing it for us to reach the standard.
Yeah.
And as long as, for me, really, as long as we do everything with love and excellence based on how God sees it, then we're good to go.
Yes.
Shall we proceed with the next statement or next,
Yeah.
insights? It's according to a female, a lady. The statement highlights the common belief that one's self-worth is often tied to external validation, such as meeting certain standards or achieving certain goals. While it's important to set goals and strive for excellence, the idea that we must meet certain standards in order to feel good about ourselves can be problematic. It's important to recognize that our self-worth is not determined by external validation or achievement. That's right.
Your
Agree
thoughts
with
are
you.
nice.
Thank you.
Thank you for those thoughts.
Dira na lang ba kuto? Dira na lang ba taman?
Cannot agree with her
I
more.
couldn't agree more. Yeah. More often than not, we equate self-worth with external validation. And guilty yun ta that sometimes we seek for it.
Yeah. On the other end, as individuals, I think we also must be generous enough to appreciate, to recognize, diba? Also, or to say thank you to the efforts made by our friends or anyone, or even subordinates or colleagues. Be thankful, appreciate them. It's actually free. Oh, but on the other end, you also must not be that expectant bang tawag, no?
When you
Na-
expect, you might get hurt.
Yes, that you always want recognition, appreciation. Pero on the other end, we must be also generous to do that also to them.
It's also trying to ask ourselves back again, what motivates us? And there are two types of motivation, right, Kavaydale? External motivators or external motivation, or extrinsic,
And
then
extrinsic.
intrinsic or internal motivation. So when we are extrinsically motivated, we base our drive to everything external, the people, and feedback of others, and how they see us. When we have that internal drive, it means that it's from us. So why we do what we do? Because we think that it's right, it's a good thing, it's something that we must do because it's
Can
something
make you
that
feel
is
happy, feel better.
it's something that satisfies us.
That's internal, intrinsic. Okay.
Okay. So do you have anything to add, Kawaizai?
I don't know. I'm not really, I just really agree with that statement. And also, I'm just also thinking of how I can transition this into welcoming our guests.
Zai Zai is our Q.
Yeah.
Queue keeper.
Q.
Queue keeper.
Okay. So can you introduce our guest for this afternoon,
Oh.
Kawaizai?
I'll just introduce him briefly. Oh, one clue. Him.
Yeah. Because you're both full-fledged envision.
Born and raised in Mountain View College, everyone. He is, and he is a graduating student in BS nursing. I'm correct, right?
Yes.
Di ba? Graduating man yun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Graduating yun.
Hopefully.
Sure na.
Congratulations in advance.
Graduating. He is, sige, brief lang, eldest in their family, and also he is a good friend of mine since we were bonding during parang faculty retreats, like that, outings. So
Your faculty
I've gotten
kids.
faculty kids. So I've gotten to know him. So please help me welcome Magkavay Kenrick Aperocho. Kuya Ken,
Yay! Let's welcome
Welcome,
him.
Whee!
Hi everyone,
Okay.
thanks for having me.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
How are you? How are you, Ken?
I feel good and a bit anxious because it's my first time being a part of a podcast.
Yeah, this
Because
is
usually I'm a media person ba nabig ko sa
Behind
Behind the
Oh.
Behind the
scenes.
scenes.
So first time na ako karon nga in front of the camera.
Oh, so feel at home. This is very comfy
Something
here.
refreshing, something new. But of course, it's an area for growth as well.
What do you want? Tokwa, Vege-Meet, soya, or
We only have water here at the moment.
Yeah.
Can you greet our listeners and viewers, Kavai Ken?
Okay. Where's the
That
main
one.
camera?
That one.
Hi mga kabayan. I hope that you're enjoying this podcast and I'm praying that the messages that we'll be talking about will be a blessing to you because it is also a blessing to us, right mga kabayan?
yes, kabayan.
And I am very sure that it will be a blessing to you as well.
Okay, now it's the time to throw questions.
Hot seat.
Hot seat on the podcast.
And maybe we'll ask first, Kavai Kenrick.
I mean, we were talking about how
enough, right?
how performance trap is compromising our health, our worth, our how we view our significance in this world. So, do you have any question, Kamay?
knowing him, Kenrick is academically excellent student. Also in sports, I think he's well-rounded. No?
Yeah.
Faculty kids are well-rounded.
Because that is what
Yeah.
Adventist education is all
Yes.
about, holistic education.
Wow.
So how can you relate to performance trap, Kavai Kenrick?
A week ago, diba, I was told that I will be a guest of this program. And as I was reading the third chapter, which is the performance trap, tagos kay sa heart ba? Because I myself am a perfectionist. I'm trapped by
Appear.
my performance. So what I can say about this kind of topic is very relatable to all of us, especially our youth today. Is their motivations are driven by society, di ba? Because we're really striving for approval from others.
Yeah, and as a student, I think it's more on grades, right? Or aside from grades, what are the other indicators that
Extracurriculars.
extracurricular offices position?
For you, Ken.
How do you measure?
Like, how do you measure your...
What was your statement?
Like indicators ba of your performance aside from grades? Ano sa pang factors?
In terms of grades, I don't really mind about my grades. And for the information of everyone, I study pinagsa lang yun. During exam,
Like
night
once
before,
a day, no?
Hindi po. Lagi ko ka-study in general po. Pero sa ako, I think what proves my performance nga it is very good and is well is through my output and how I did in doing that kind of achievement.
So it's like
Based on
how you
output.
feel.
So
How
it's
you
like
feel
in your
after.
RD, kuya.
Oh,
In your
kanang
RDs.
How well did I do my task? Ano bitaw? Kaya there are times man po nga my output is not bad. Is bad. I am also guilty of that because there are times na di ko maka-study and bad ako performance. But there are also times that even though my output is bad, I still feel good about myself because I know that I did
You
very
did your
well.
best.
Yeah, I did my best. So, mo na siya. It's more on my my performance and how I did it.
Pero kung sa song ba nga, I did my best, no? But I think
My
my best wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Oh, like example, for you it's your best, but for others, it's not yet the best for them. So how
You
would
get
you feel?
frustrated when you come to a realization that your best may not be the best of others.
Yeah, maybe sometimes. At the back a while ago, I was talking with Monica, who is the guest for the next episode. Sorry, spoilers. Spoilers.
Spoiler alert!
We talked about perfectionism, and she asked me, "Do you think that you are satisfied with what you do right now or what you are doing right now?" I said, "No." Even I told her, even though I did well, I still think that I still have room for improvement and I can do better. So Monica told me, you're a perfectionist because a perfectionist is not satisfied of their performance even though they did well.
Pero I think I can let me ask you this question. Kanang right now, are you giving your best? I mean, like all of us here, Kabaysay, Kabay Queen, or I mean, is this your best already?
How do you define best?
I mean, like
How do you define your best?
subjectively, you on your own, you know, it's this. Yes, this is my best.
Where?
already.
So we can...
In what aspect?
Like,
In what terms?
In what you're doing right now?
Right
like-
now, here, in this podcast.
generally in life.
Yeah,
Is that what
generally.
you mean?
Okay.
It depends upon how I define my best as well. And our best is kind of subjective, it's relative, and it's kind of fluctuating. There are times that we do not feel like doing what we usually do, like we're tired, we're drained, but we still push ourselves. And even if the quality of our performance at the time is not the same as when we are, when we are energetic enough, then if we think to ourselves that it's the best that I can do for now, that it's best for me, even if it's not my usual best.
Okay, maybe this one na lang kanang. How can we, let's give general rules or principles that we can say that you are giving your best? When? What?
Oh, I like the question.
No?
So when
sige.
and what?
I mean,
When do you do your best?
yes. How can you say that you are giving your best? You are at your best. This is my best.
Speaking about doing my best, it depends on my motivation, and it depends on my motive, and it depends on what is my passion. For
What is
example,
your passion, Kuya?
for example, if I was to be, if I was to be a host, diba? I will still do my best, but there's a but. I believe nga, nawala ko sa train of thought. Okay, di man gud ako best ang host man, nawala akong thought ba? So kana, in terms of hosting,
Is that your forte, for example?
lisod ba?
I'm getting your point now.
Sorry, lisod ko putting my thoughts on
Into
the track.
words.
So, pero, for example, if I was about to play soccer, which is I'm passionate about, of course, I will really give my best and give my all, even though that I will fail. Tomorrow I will still do better.
Have you know this Kawai Queen about conscious competence? No?
You know what?
Yeah.
You
You know what
that
you're
you are
good
at
at.
that. Yeah.
So if you know where you are good at, your definition or quality of best seem higher.
Yes, that's what I was thinking about. Naman po yung statement good nga, wherever God puts you, you should do your best,
Yeah.
di ba? And I think everyone will agree to that. Pero ako, I felt so guilty. Okay, there are times that I'm given a big responsibility ba, and I know, and I am predetermining myself that I won't do good, even though I'll still do my best. So that affects my performance.
Yeah. That's also very biblical that the Bible tells us, whatever your hands find it to do it with all your might. No? So meaning give your best in everything. I like that quote nga, when you work 100%. When you play 100%. When you rest pod nga 100%.
When you eat 100%.
Eat only 80%. Japanese mga rule. Yes. So
Sometimes it depends upon what or where we're competent at.
that we can say that we are giving our best. Pero I think hindi na lang ang change akong question, Dobby. What are the factors nga hinders us from giving our best or from being your best?
Sleep.
Sleep
No?
for
Is this a
Zayzay.
general question?
Oh, like you cannot give your best because this prevents me from being my best or doing my best.
No, I think maybe it's also the people who's
Yeah.
involved. Yeah, if you're working in a team, sometimes you don't do your best because of the people around.
Like group work. di ba?
Yeah, group work.
You hate
You
group
don't do your-
work.
No,
Kaya ang grade sa lang. Nya, siya kayo, wala kayo ga
yeah.
give siyang best. Feel ka.
Bisag ako in a group work, usually good, ako yung leader. Ano ba? Pero since that I have group mates, I have to be on time. Di ba? Even though it's not my pace, I still have to catch up para makakompensate mo sila.
Because you're working with others.
Yes, usually if I'm alone, if I'm doing stuff alone, I do it on the 11th hour. Bro,
Because-
it's not. I think it's not healthy for everyone, but for me, it works for me.
Oh,
Pero
it works
maka-bright
for
ba
you.
daw na? Maka-bright na.
Same for you.
Kanang 11th hour. Maka-bright daw. No,
Why
Is
not 12
it a good
hour?
advice, sir?
amot lang. Amot lang.
Why not 12 hour? I'm
Oo.
joking.
Ang 12 hour, mas bright pa ang 12 hour, ma'am. Mas bright pa ang 12 hour.
Like you have 1 minute, a minute left.
Di ba? Kanang
A
magbakasonate
minute
ba?
to win it.
Pressure. Ma-bright daw ka, manggawas ang mga idea, hala, paspas na kayo.
You're extracting
Yeah,
everything.
somehow it's kind of true, but sometimes
Too
your output could be a mediocre output
Yes.
because you're hurrying up.
So it won't work for everyone. It's
Yeah,
not
it
good
doesn't
for
work for
everyone.
everyone.
I also know someone nga slow lang siya mag-move but very consistent. Like turtle ba, no?
For consistent.
Oo.
Pero may progress.
Oo. Then uban po kay rabbit, pwede matulog-tulog, pero pagka hapit ng time, pas-pas dayon. Doon niya po mo. Asa ang mas better? Asa ang
So
better
you have
na?
to know yourself. You have to discover
Know
that.
your pace.
Right.
Yeah, no? Sige. So
So what was the original question?
ang,
Gani?
I want like to ask katong what prevents us or hinders us from giving or being our best?
I think tama tong giingon ni Zai. It's human relationships. It's one thing because on my end, if I have overwhelming workload or a lot of things to do, I can bear that. I can somehow bear that. But if there are conflicts, it weakens me.
We should.
Mhm.
Right.
So giving our best is dependent on who surrounds you or sample
Sort
workmates.
of, yes.
Really?
Some ways. Yeah.
It is a factor.
The people
So,
around you, it's a
is there a
factor.
place that is very healthy nga everybody is helping you?
Here.
He can give you. Ah.
When you are in this team, praise the Lord.
I mean, kung inana and then you are placed in that situation because our tendency, example, kung mag-work ka someday, we try to look for a place ba nga worry, example, problem.
Worry-free.
Oh, worry-free, problem-free. Pero anywhere you go,
Healthy
there are
environment.
different challenges sa workplace. Sometimes ang tao, ang himuon kayo, mag-transfer, no? And then, I think it's just in you. That's what I'm trying to drive on taba. Is it okay ra ba na nga? But whoever your workmates are or colleagues are in work, you can still give your best. Or yes, I also consider nga ang kauban sa work, no, maka-konse mo. Example, sa family, you love the person. So, daghang kayo hugason nga plato. Imusa pa lang ga. So, okay ra yun. Pero if you
Do it with all your might, good.
no, nag-away mo, bisag panyo lang rin mo labhan, di ka. Kay, mugat kayo. It's very true, no? The relationship affects also giving your best.
But we cannot have like the ideal environment all the time. It's a blessing to have one, but sometimes when we are in that kind of environment, we have to live with that.
You have
And
to try.
If our environment, if we could not control others, we have ourselves to control too.
Yes.
It's
So
how we
then,
respond and see na lang the situation.
meaning, we can still give our best.
Yeah, you can.
We can still give our best by changing our perspective,
So, hindi ito tinuod tong
reframing how we think.
relationships.
Pero,
It's
man.
true.
Oh, it's
It's
true.
true
Factor
because
man.
It's a factor.
what's inside us affects us. What's outside of us affects us.
Yes.
So,
So, aside from, sa pa other factors, what do you think I can relate?
is it okay, sir, if I'll still talk about the social relations?
Sure. Sige.
Okay. So in terms of social relations, I want to share a little knowledge about stages of development. I think Ma'am Queenie is very familiar of this. And this stages of development was developed by Eric Erickson. I know
Kabayan is
our
also familiar
kabayan
with
nga mga nursing students, I know they're very familiar with this.
Psychosocial.
psychosocial development.
So, as I was listening a while ago when you were talking about this topic, at the back, I realized that being driven by society, your motives, your motivations, being driven by society is not always bad. You know why? Going back to the stages of development, we have this, what we call identity versus
Identity
role
confusion.
confusion.
Identity
This is
confusion.
prevalent for to our adolescents, right, ma'am? In this stage of development, our young teenagers, they try to look for themselves and to seek for themselves in their place inside the world. So they're trying to pangita nila ba kung sila ga-fit in. That's when you fulfill your identity. Pero, di ba na may verses? Pero if once you haven't found your identity, you'll be confused of your role. So that's where I realized, and that's where I can put that social relations, your motives and your motivations being driven by society is not always bad. Diba?
So you're confused of your role, not of your gender, no?
But diba,
Is it also affects
some
gender?
of some of the people, no, when we talk about trying to look for identities, sometimes they get confused in that aspect.
That's why our society, our friends, even our strangers, they are a vital role in the development of ourselves. But we have growth, like Sir Dale said a while ago, and we also have the development of our minds.
Yes.
Then when it's psychosocial development, psychological and
social.
social development.
Yes.
That's why it gives weight to our external environment, the social world where we are in. And during adolescence, who are the key persons, kumbaga, that you are constantly with? These are our peers.
Yeah, in that specific stage, those your peers, your friends.
Yes.
And at that time, you prioritize your friends than your parents, than your family members.
Yeah.
So it's also a lesson to our parents that as much as possible, when they are still young, they want to be with you, they want to listen to you, make the best out of it. Because once they become adolescents, the most important people in their lives will not be their parents, but their friends.
That's right.
So we have to surround ourselves with good friends as well. Diba, there is a saying that, tell me who your friends are, and I tell you who you are.
Sai, how old are you?
Turning 19.
Oh, so napa siya sa kwandia
Yeah.
stage. Have you found your identity already?
Uy, di man din siya ma-host, oh. Si Henry.
I think I did. I do. I know my role. Not entirely, but I know what I'm capable of. I'm self-aware.
Yeah, that's
But
very
as
good.
to choices
Yeah.
towards your career path, the course that you are going to take, are you sure that you're going to take this course
Yeah.
at this moment in time?
Yeah, I kept it in my mind that first I'll take this course. If I want to in the future to change the course, the career of my choice, then why not? Yeah, so that's my my mindset.
It's like
There's
open.
always an option to go back to school.
But you know what? Can I share an experience? When I was in high school, I was so sure of what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, career-wise. When I graduated in elementary, I wanted to be a lawyer. So when I was in high school, I realized that in order for me to become a lawyer, I have to take a preparatory course. And the best preparatory course for law, as what others say, is accountancy. So when I was in high school, I really wanted to be a CPA lawyer.
Wow.
That was the goal. That was the dream. So everything that I did, all the preparations I did for me to come closer to that dream. But it's not God's dream for me to be an accountant. I still don't know if God would still want me to be a lawyer, but God did not design me to be an accountant. And everything else was, spontaneous. I did not plan my course as a psychology major, but everything turned out, the turnout of events went, it all boiled down to me becoming a psychology major. So there are times that we control everything. As a perfectionist, you plan, you structure everything, but there are other areas that we cannot control. That's why it's so difficult for perfectionists to surrender and submit. But when we look at what Christianity is and what Adventism is all about, it's also surrendering, right? It's submitting to the will of the Lord.
Yes, that's a
Amen.
very long story.
How about you, Kabay?
How about you?
Yeah,
Are you like that? Like, is there some sort of, plan, or like you wanted to organize things out because you don't
Fix
want
na
to
ba?
fail?
Oo.
Yeah, perfectionism.
Na-set na imong futures, fix na among mind. nga siya na gyud. I mean, nga amo na gyud imong kwaon.
And then kung mag-away mo kay, you know, relationships.
Lain na ng episode.
In another episode, in another season.
Ako, I'm more of a kanang impromptu nga person bitaw. So speaking about impromptu, I don't have a fixed long-term plan for myself. When I was in elementary, I want to be a veterinarian. When I graduated from junior high, I wanted to be an engineer. When I graduated from grade 12, I wanted to be a scientist. And what happened to me when in my college years? I became a nursing student.
But you can still be a scientist if you would,
Yeah.
you know, proceed
Then when he
with
graduates-
further studies.
He will work as a pastor.
Well, we don't know. Pero karon now that I'm already hit by reality nga I'm already graduating. I already have to put my life on a note ba nga kinanglan ko straight na ba. I'm graduating. I have to be on my own and I have to build myself because I have built myself inside my family, but I haven't built myself alone. So right now, I don't really have a fixed plan, but it's getting there already.
So for you, it's high time to be sure on what you want to do in life. So are you sure, Kabayde, of what you want to do in life?
No, I'm happy for you. Me, I'm still...
Confused?
No.
Are you?
Okay na ko.
You're
Okay na ka?
Satisfied
Sa
na.
iya, ha?
Dili, ma'am.
You're done searching for yourself.
Yes.
So now you're searching
For
for
the right
significance.
one.
Right time. No? Right time na lang yun.
Not searching for
time.
significance anymore, but searching for a significant one.
Partner.
Significant
One.
partner.
Okay,
Someone.
Dili. Oh, yeah, significant one, two. Oh, ano ba?
one.
Pero, ano sa itong topic? Performance trap, no?
Yeah.
Performance trap.
Oh.
Sapat ka.
So, how did you come out of the trap, Kennedy?
Are you still fearing failure right now, Ken?
I could still say yes. When I was in high school, I used to put a lot of pressure on myself. I was a student leader, so I have a lot of kanang mga extracurricular. Yeah. But in grade 10, I lost all of it for some reason. So that's when I realized that I do not have to be perfect. And I should realize that no one can be perfect and no one will ever be perfect. So,
You try to be no one.
para sa una, student leader, karon no one na lang. So, karon, in overcoming from this performance trap, I think it's not bad, but I have to say that I tend to care less about my,
Performances.
But I still have to do my best.
Where do you care more? Is it a where or is it a who? It's just a joke.
Is it a what?
Oh, he wants to answer it. Okay,
Next episode.
Sige, no?
So, kato, I don't really mind experiencing failures and mga struggles in life. I have to bisag magpile up imong mga failures, you should also use it. You should use the pile as a stepping stone towards
I think it's because
success.
of your experience that God allowed you to go through it, because He wants you to learn that
Yes.
we cannot be always on top or perfect.
That's right, sir.
So these little experiences or challenges or trials will prepare us for bigger ones in the near future.
Yes.
That's very wonderful how God works in our lives, right?
And it humbles us.
Yes.
Because
Yes,
it
that's right.
might generate pride when we always, accomplish something and we seem so perfect already. We might get to the point wherein we become prideful. So when we fail sometimes, it humbles us.
It's an
That,
eye-opener.
I am a work in progress. I have to improve and grow, no, so that I can do my best again.
I would also like to quote Thomas Edison's quote. I think everyone is very familiar of this. I have not failed, but I have found 10,000 ways that does not work.
Yeah.
So last episode, diba? It's what I want to mention.
But it was not quoted by me. It's not verbatim.
Yes, thank you for that.
So,
You saved.
motto siya nga, failure is not the end of your life. It's not the end of your journey, but it is another chapter of your life.
It's also on how we cognitively reframe our failures. So, as what I've mentioned in the previous episode, failures or mistakes do not define us, but it refines us.
Yes. Also, speaking about that, ma'am, as I researched on perfectionism, diba, perfectionism, what we know about perfectionism is perfecting your craft, perfecting what you do. But perfectionism should be perfecting the self.
Yeah.
Diba? Diba? So, pero,
Yeah, there is quite,
diba? Deep case, ano, pero specifically talking, perfecting the imperfect self. So, what does it mean? It seems so paradoxical nga, ga-compete sila dua. It means nga, even though you have not reached success, you haven't reached your achievements or your goals in life, you can still bounce back from that stress. Kanang, usually mga perfectionists, they put too much pressure on themselves and it results to depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation. So I think perfectionism is about perfecting yourself and also preparing yourself to be kanang kung bisayon pa na batak na ba kanang dili ka ma solid yung ka dili ka ma
Your best version.
dili ka ma
Masway, madala.
madala sa imong mga
I
failures.
remember I read somewhere nga, is it different from mastery ang perfection? I wanted to ask first a question, no? Lahi ang mastery sa perfection. No?
I want to go back to what Ken shared a while ago.
Oh, sige,
Diba,
go.
the perfection of self versus perfecting a craft. So when we say mastery, it's like we're trying to be better onto certain areas of life. But when we say perfection, no, sometimes the impossibility of perfection lies, or it all boils down back to how imperfect we are. So as individuals. So when we explain perfection, we try to look at ourselves in general. But when we say mastery, it's some facets, areas of ourselves.
Okay.
I don't know if I make sense.
I think no nga, every one of us should not be too harsh on ourselves because we're not robots. We're humans. Humans are not perfect. We are lower than the angels. So why put too much pressure on yourself that God even designed you to be lower than angels? Diba?
Yes.
Kavaidel?
Yeah, I'm still thinking, no, kanang perfection, because I just remembered, no, the
But
line.
you know what? When we master something, it doesn't mean that it's perfect.
That's
Right?
Because that line says that when you master something, learning stops. The learning stops because
Right.
you're so good in doing it already that just do this like that and then that's perfect.
But there would always be something to learn even if you have mastered a craft
So
already.
if it's not perfect yet, then meaning you are still learning, and learning goes on. If you don't reach perfection, even in
So perfection stunts growth.
yeah, even in theology, I remember the perfection could either be a goal to be achieved or reached, or a certain level or a process. Is it a process or a goal to be reached? Something inana ba kay example, we must be perfect in Matthew 5:48, diba? Be ye therefore perfect. Inana ba ang giingon sa Bible? So dili man ang pasabot nga we must be all perfectionists. Kay lahi po siya siguro sa OCD, no?
That is another case.
Another
Disorder
one.
na siya.
It's a disorder.
Pero
So
if you
there
want it to
are
be perfect, diba? Because you're so
distresses,
OC with...
dysfunctions. Yeah, it's also a signifier of a perfectionist. But when you have a disorder such as that, obsessive compulsive disorder, so it means that you're already having some kind of distress. There are dysfunctions. It poses a danger to yourself and others already. And it's kind of different from the normal, what we perceive as normal. So
So it's different
It's not
from being
healthy
a
anymore.
perfectionist ang pagka-OC.
perfectionism could lead to that.
Yeah.
It could be instrumental to having OCD, but it's two different things. Do you
So-
want to add something,
Yes,
Ken?
my take on that is that different people have different coping mechanism. What's different between us and those who have mental disorders is the coping mechanism. Okay, ako, if I can cope with my stress, I can be okay in the future. But if you can't cope with your stresses in life, that's when you will develop mga disorders like kanang OCD. That's why katong gingon ni ma'am nga perfectionism can lead to OCD. And that is when you can't cope up with stress.
When it's not a disorder yet, you can look for constructive ways.
It's still perfect.
Constructive ways to cope. Now, if there is a presence of disorder, you tend to self-sabotage. You adopt maladjusted behaviors or ways not to respond to how your mind works.
It becomes OCD na.
There is a tendency, but we cannot say in full certainty because it's only the mental health professionals who can diagnose
Yeah.
That's right.
OCDs or experts. No?
Yeah. For the sake of discussion, baka na. No, those two terms. Can we use it interchangeably? Siguro no.
No.
Because you need to define first what is
Strong
perfection.
kayo, no?
What is perfection? No, nga, that we're trying to discuss here. So, pero pahumanay naman ta. Pero lagi to, no, when it comes to performance siguro, it's like being your best or giving your best. That you want it to be, you can call it perfect. This is perfect for me.
And more than anything else, we have to go back as to what God's best is.
That's right.
So, any takeaway?
Wow, I've learned so much. No,
Also,
I'm just here listening.
if you want to be perfect, you should also be open to mistakes.
And that's perfect.
I think that's what
Close to
we
perfect.
should call perfect.
We are, not perfectly imperfect.
Right.
Now, I want to share my takeaway sa this discussion. It's as we grow old, no, as we grow up,
He said the term.
realize that life is not all about. It's not a perfect life. As we adapt and adjust and accept the changes or even the imperfections of life, it makes us grow and become mature. That life is not perfect, and that's perfect. But there's not the end. The ending is God will. Sorry, no. I'm so advanced. But God will restore everything
Yes.
into its perfect state
Perfection.
again. So this is not the end. That everything is just imperfect.
That's why there are many imperfections because we are living in a sin-sick world. So we always go back to that. We always go back to that kind of reality. And the only solution for our imperfections is the Lord. So we have to go back to His truth about us so that we would always be on track to the path that God has prepared for us. That even if we commit mistakes and failures, we are reminded of His grace and we can keep going still because we know that the hope is in Him.
Yeah, we're
Our
happy
hope
here
is in Him.
that Kavay Kanrik is a testimony that we can all overcome perfection or performance trap. Yeah.
Perfectionism.
So even if Even if we're perfectionists, we have to, I think, we have to be intentional. Yeah, because we have certain tendencies that are not healthy, no, for us. That's why we have to have a sense of intentionality as to what we must do, what is the right thing to do. And even if it's difficult, we have to ask God for wisdom. Because, di ba, we were created with the power to think and to be. That's why we have the choice to discipline ourselves in order to, give our best to God.
Yeah.
Kabaisa, your takeaway?
No, I'm just reminded of a line from a song by Anne Marie. She said, "I'm okay with not being perfect because that's perfect to me." So she's content of who she is. She knows nga sapat na siya. Because of the love of Christ, I am enough. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Because of the love of Christ, we can be content in that assurance.
The final words for our guests here, Kavai and Rick, to our listeners
To
and
our-
viewers.
Yeah, listeners and viewers.
If you're feeling pressured right now, in any terms, could be academically, financially, or even in your family and in your friends, just go back to God, to Jesus Christ. It's not too late. Tomorrow is another day, but today is the day that you should go back to Christ, because He is the perfect self, and that He is the perfect standard that we should stand.
I'd like to close this with reflection that in heaven, there's only one who is not perfect, and that's Jesus.
Yeah.
All of us will be perfect, but He will still have these scars in His hands to remind us of what He did for us. So we can say that He became imperfect for us to be perfect.
us.
In the Bible, it's He became sin, no?
So that we become clean.
Yes. So for us, not to become righteous, That's what our God did for us.
And that is enough.
Yeah.
That is enough for us to say that we're enough.
Yeah.
Sapat ka.
That's you're not sayang.
Di ka sayang because you are not a failure. Sapat ka because God died for you. God died for our imperfections.
Yeah.
What a fruitful discussion we had. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you for
Kabay
having me.
Ken,
Thank you so
for
much.
gracing us with your presence, with your insights. We are blessed to have you here.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
Okay, so to end, we'll
Of
always
course.
end with a drink.
Yeah.
We end our discussion.
We are already full with food for the soul. We end it with something to refresh.
Yeah.
Something to refresh ourselves too.
Di ba na-orient
Soya.
na ka?
So yeah.
Bago na siya na-orient.
Unsa ito?
Soya.
Unsa mga flavor mo gusto? We have new
Strawberry.
flavors in
Okay, strawberry.
strawberry nga soya. Yeah.
Okay, you
So,
can
yes.
buy it at MBC Food Fact.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Soon to be sponsored.
Yes, baka naman.
Oh, ayaw po. Ay, dugaya. Sige.
Okay.
So,
Till next time.
Till next time, kabayans.
Soya! Sige. Thank you.
1 minute daw. 1 minute. 1 minute sa daw. Diri sa daw tamag. Chika-chika?